prep this meeting.
Hello. We're back.
Hey, everybody.
Is my voice better? I don't know.
Sounds pretty hot to me.
Let us know if the internet is still making Vic sound like a robot. But in the meantime, yay!
Yay!
It is.
Yay.
You.
It is.
Yep.
Don't pick on Carrie like that.
We love you, Carrie.
Right. You come out of the teleportation spell that Alvatende cast on your behalf and are deposited in basically the middle of the road, right in between all the 4 different halls in downtown Crystal Harbor. It's still, mid-morning. The meeting is not convening until around midday, so you have a few hours if there's anything you want to get up to in the meantime.
Shenanigans.
Checks out. But if
So
you don't...
Wade, is there anything we should know about these wizards, I presume? These heads of the Hall of Weave?
That's a great question. Are you asking me?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you were directing that towards me or the DM.
I did start the question with, so Wade,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I heard that.
Wade was spacing out. Do anything you should know about them? Can you be more specific?
well, we're trying to convince them that this is a genuine threat and potentially put some of their resources towards helping us unravel it.
Oh, is that what we're trying to do?
What did you think we were doing?
Oh, I don't know. It sounded like a good idea when Wade suggested we have a meeting, so I just went along with it.
I don't know if this is important or not, but 2 of the department heads, we have 2 vacancies in the departments, so it won't be there's going to be less people there than could otherwise be.
Which departments are vacant leadership?
Evocation and transmutation.
You're an evocation specialist, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, maybe you could get a job there, Wade.
I feel like I might need to work on, I don't know, become more powerful as a wizard. I don't know. I the thought did cross my mind, but
I've heard of very powerful wizards, obviously, but I think you're a very competent wizard.
thank you.
Isn't transmutation like one of the ones that probably would be the most helpful to be telling
this
this
regards,
stuff to?
yeah, I feel like that's a good point. I don't know if there's no head of transmutation. I mean, I don't. Is there like we have a transmutation department in the Hall of Weave, but the question is is there someone? I guess if there's no head of that department, is that department empty? How does that work?
Yeah, so a lot of the departments are pretty small. There's not that many wizards and those dedicated specifically to studying the arcane here. And so you would know that as long as you have been a member, there has not been a head of either of those departments. Just there's nobody, either nobody's applied for it, nobody qualified for it. You're not entirely certain. Yeah, the transmutation department, as far as you know, is pretty small. The only person who you have spent any amount of time or any significant amount of time interacting with who is a member of that department would be Miss Fowler, who you were traveling with.
Well, I guess there's just not that many people here as far as the wizards go for, I guess, there for to be a need or desire for that department. And I guess, like, with the troubles with the water and all that, it might be harder to get people to come out this way to fill that need if there were one.
Well, perhaps we should reach out to Ryvan and invite her to the meeting as the only transmutation specialist we know.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we should. Do we know where she'd be about? Would she be in the hall somewhere?
She could be. If she's not there, she would probably be at her home, which you could find out where that is easily enough.
Stalking? No. Is there anything else we all wanted to do?
We don't really have time to do anything else that I want to do.
Oh, I suppose another thing of import that just sort of crossed my mind now. You're familiar with Baubles, yes?
Yes, we've been there together.
Head of a department.
Wait, which Bauble is a head of a department?
The artificing department, yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. I never would have. So the heads of these departments in the Hollow Weave, they're not really full-time jobs then? These people do as they wish throughout their day?
Well, Babos does have a partner. That probably makes it a lot more easy.
True, but he is in the shop day to day, is he not?
What I can tell, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, you would know. Department head is more of there are some duties that come with it, but probably less than there would have been a few 100 years ago when it was much more populous and there are more things to do. And it's not every day that they need the master transmuter or master artificer to come look at something.
Right. So these are basically like city council jobs kind of thing?
More or less. Yeah, you're kind of getting that vibe.
Which one is Bobbles? The one that speaks in the more like bird-like fashion? Because I know one of them kind of squawks a little bit.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. This is the one that sounds a little bit more depressed with the blue, with the bright blue eyes.
I mean, that's already one person we know, so there's gonna be a total of 6 people there if everybody shows up. You got the conjuration, divination, illusion, necromancy, who we all know and love, right?
Right.
What's up with that anyway? He's kind of your boss, right?
I guess.
Did he teach you at all? The magic that you know.
if you were, since you were at one point specialized in necromancy, it would have been you would definitely have studied with him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he taught me a little bit of stuff, but I didn't really take to it, you know? Like, it just never felt like something that I could make use of, or if I didn't really feel comfortable doing that.
It does seem like unpleasant work. I have a knack for causing undead to retreat. I couldn't imagine controlling them like that. It would not feel right. And we're still okay with sharing all of this information with them?
I feel like Flynn is already aware of some of this information, but well, I don't know how much the other departments know.
If we suspect that he already knows and the others don't, then spreading the information around certainly benefits us more than it hurts us.
Yes. And if Flynn isn't the big bad evil person that I imagine in my mind, then it helps to inform him.
That's true. He may even be a valuable asset. Not that we should let our guard down.
But then, actually, I guess that would mean that we would have to know. I was just thinking that if Flynn knew things and we knew things, that would be much easier to determine what he's involved in if we didn't tell other people. But I do see what you're saying.
Yes. Where you're coming from, that's one way of going about it. It would require being careful with how we word things so that he would slip up with what he knows and what we know. And
so our meeting then has two reasons behind it, sort of, I guess. Maybe more. Just not just telling everyone about the stuff that we know, but seeing possibly what Flynn knows, if anything.
yes, that, and the more people know, the more, like, the less, like, if it's just us three trying to figure out the problem, you know, that can be difficult, right? We're limited with what abilities we have. But if more people know the problem, more people can try to come up with a solution. We have greater resources if we spread the information.
Remind me who we've already spread the information to. We did the Hall of Wilds. Did we do the Hall of Works?
No, we were heading to the Hall of Works, I believe. We did the Hall of Writs, though.
Okay. So, I guess we do kind of have one more stop then before we go to the meeting, if that's something we want to do.
You're walking and talking to the Hall of Works.
All right.
The Hall of Works is right here in the same intersection.
Yeah, they're all four of these buildings are on the same corner. It's moments to get there from where you are.
You know what? I'm gonna let you two handle that. I'll go find out where Riven lives and inform her of our plan.
All right.
That's good.
Sounds good. Can you? How are you going to go about doing that?
I'm going to find out in the Hall of Weave whether by someone giving me the information, or I'll just skulk around if I have to.
Sounds good. So I will follow the other two first, going into the Hall of Works. You've been in here before. This is a very large, stately building. You're showing off one of the more elaborately detailed buildings in town. It's sort of like if this was a mundane human Earth city, this would be like the Department of Public Works, all of the construction guild, all those sorts of things. Different craftsmen also claim membership here. If something needs building or fixing in the city, this is generally the place to come get that done. You step inside to the entryway, and there is a dwarvish man with a kind of shock of red hair on top of his head and a equally red beard standing behind a desk.
Would that be? I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Thosis Emberfoot?
It is.
Okay. Cam is going to go walking up towards him. She's worked out of this building before, so she's fairly familiar with it. I think she's kind of taking in the scenery around them. Because she finds this one to be like the most beautiful out of all of the halls. And she's going to, I think she kind of hooks her arm around Wade to make sure that she's not like, because she is hoping that he'll take the lead on the information dumping, but she is like, good day.
Looks up from something that he's doing on the desk. Says, "Hey, good morning, Cam."
Morning. We have some information that we would like to give to you, and she kind of like pushes Wade a little bit forward. I don't know if you're familiar with my friend Wade here, but we've been working outside of Crystal Harbor, and we found some interesting things that we thought the various halls should know about.
What have you found? He pulls a big tome out from underneath the desk and opens to a blank page and gets ready to write some stuff down. What have you found?
So we have come across at least two unusual. I don't know how to word this. We've come across one unusual substance and one unusual crystal formation, both which have similar properties that are very harmful to people.
One of these, that green goop that Broxel was messing around with.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So y'all are the ones that found that. Well.
Yes. And then I will go on to explain what's the name of this crystal again?
Ulmerite or something? Moonglow? Something like that. Mistglow Prism, yeah.
There's a crystal that is referred to as Mistglow Prism. Thank you. Both this goop and crystal are connected to another plane of magic, or like a plane outside of the one we live on. And whoever connected these substances and crystals is trying to use that connection to like take over or infect your body.
My body?
Well, whoever comes into contact with these substances and crystals.
Have you
not you per se.
Have you encountered anything like that? Has anyone come to be healed or anything?
Let me see. I haven't heard of anything like that coming through here. No possessions recently.
Good. So our recommendation is that whoever comes across anything of this sort takes a note of where they come across it, and they give it a wide berth, and then they let somebody know, so that we can deal with the substance in the crystal in a way that will, reduce harm and help us keep the people of Crystal Harbor safe.
Now, you said you found this outside of town. So do you have any reason to suspect that any of these crystals or this other substance are here? Other than whatever Broxwell got his hands on.
I don't think we've seen anything of the sort within the town, but people come and go. So if they come across it outside of town or inside the town, we want them to be aware that the stuff is not good for you.
Well, if anybody, the next people that we send out on any sort of assignments, I'll make sure that they know to be on the lookout for a mysterious crystal and some green sludge, and to not touch it, and to let everybody know. That really does, if it's extraplanar though, that really does. Well, do you know what plane were you able to determine that?
You weren't. I don't think.
Or what's the other? We just knew there was some magical connection through the crystal, and then if you were able to, what was that spell? Dispel?
Yeah, you dispel. You cast dispel magic, I believe.
That if you're able to successfully dispel it, then it's a lot safer. We can't guarantee it's completely safe.
Well, that's good to know.
There were some issues with dispelling it, though. We had to do it at a very safe distance.
Yes, because I don't even know how to describe that. Like how water, you can drink water, it's smooth, it goes down, you can swallow it easily. Well,
it looks at you a little strangely.
Yeah, it's strange to think of water as anything other than, like just something you drink, right? So there was this crystal in this body of water, and we were like 60 or more feet from the crystal, and Cam cast a spell on the crystal, and all the water in that area became thicker. It didn't. Go ahead.
The whole area around it seemed very strange, almost like. Have you? I don't know if you're very familiar with art, but like there's certain styles of art that are just very swirly in nature. It looks very abstract. That's what it looked like.
But we don't know what would happen if someone was like close. If someone would be closer and they cast that spell, it would not be safe.
That is. Well, let's hope that nobody finds out. That sounds
Indeed.
Rather disturbing.
If somebody does find out, I would be curious to hear about it, though.
It's like comes back, one arm looks like a silly straw. Well, I guess thanks for letting us know. This is definitely the sort of thing we need to keep an eye out for, especially if it's extraplanar in nature. Some of the clerics, I'm sure, are going to be interested in this. Did you happen to have samples of either of those?
I don't remember if I did, because I remember that Learas gave me that chunk. I don't know if I still had that or not. Or if I pawn that off on someone else. I don't have it on hand.
Well,
No.
if you do come across any more, I'd be interested in taking a look at it. Maybe one of maybe one of the other clerics can figure out what plane it's associated with.
If you come across a Naf, he might have a sample of that sludge. As far as the crystal, I had one, but we've been seeing back and forth between lots of people, and I think I might have left it with someone else to check up on.
Well, as long as someone's looking into it, at least this is strange.
That is a good idea to keep in mind, though. Maybe we should try to figure that out next time, Wade.
Yeah, to have more samples, we need to dispel more crystals, and well, we saw how that went.
I think
But
we were very
it's
successful, though.
Yes. Yep. We just want to keep everybody informed. We're gonna, talk to the Hall of Weave about it later today, and we've already been to the Hall of Wilds and what have you.
Well, as you're keeping everybody informed, that's good. If this does rise to some sort of active threat, and I'm sure the mayor will want to call all the different hall leaders together for a council, but we'll see about that. Is there anything else to know about it? Anything else I can do for you today?
I don't think so. I think that is it. Unless, is there anything that the hall needs help with?
It sounds like y'all have your hands full. You're tracking down some extra dimensional crystals.
We definitely do.
No, I'm sure you've heard, though, about the resettlement efforts over at Harbor Watch. We're heavily involved in that. Anything. If you want to go build something, we always need people for that.
Well,
Not really my forte.
We do need to head that way at some point, I believe.
Yes, we had planned on going there, but we were derailed.
That happens often to us.
That's so frequent.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you do go out there, I have a message that needs to get passed to Piero Ligori, who's out there on the island heading up some construction efforts. If you stop by, I'll in the next few days or so, if you're heading out that way, I might have a parcel for you to bring her.
Oh, yes. Well, if we do go that way soon, we definitely will be able to help with that.
Yeah. Excellent.
She's gonna kind of tug Wade by the arm. Well, thank you for listening to us, and maybe see you soon. Also, thank you for saying Pyrrha's name again. I've had it spelled 2 different ways in my doc, and I'm like, I don't know which way is the right one. Yeah, I think we just head it.
Oh. Is that? Oh, it's not from you. Oh. Okay. Not that I'm there, but I'm like, I want it in my notes all the same.
The transitive property of knowledge.
Yeah.
I think as they're heading out, Cam goes, oh, she's laughing a little bit to herself. I could have just messaged Ryven and we could have known exactly where she was. I hope it's not too much trouble for Learas.
No, that's sort of a specialty, isn't it? And I think
I suppose so.
he enjoys it a bit.
The
I had
fun.
also, yes, I had also thought of that, but I felt like, not the most efficient use of resources.
I've
Cool.
used my spells for less, to be honest, but I see what you're saying.
I mean, how you choose to use them is up to you.
Right, and I think we'll cut over to Learas now, entering into the Hall of Weave.
Yeah.
Standing behind the front desk, gentlemen, you've seen before a feathered Aarakocra with a long, flat, wide bill, mostly white feathers, except for some spots of black around his eyes.
Do I know his name?
Yes, this is Smew. Smew
Smew.
Limpkin. Smew.
Okay. Smew Limpkin. That's quite a name.
Birds
Yeah,
be
Learas-
having crazy names, yo.
That's fair. Learas approaches and just kind of rests against the desk. Good morning.
Morning. What can we do for you here? You've been in here before.
Yes, Smew. I've been here many times. My friends and I are investigating some rather important mysteries. Straight to the chase, I suppose. We have a meeting with the heads of the departments of the Hall of Weave this afternoon, and because there is no current head of transmutation, I was wondering if you could give me the address of Ryven Fowler, who is a trusted transmuter that we would like to join us.
Make a persuasion check for me, please.
Yeah, I can make one of those, in theory. That's a 23.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, we're not really supposed to give out people's addresses, but I think you're in luck. I think she's in the library right now. You can probably catch her. If she's not, I can contact her for you.
Either way would be fine, but I'll quickly go check the library.
You know the way?
Yeah. Do I know the way? I do. I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah,
you've been here.
You were there yesterday.
Yeah. It seems like longer ago, but
It feels like weeks.
Yes, I've got it covered, and Learas just takes off at a kind of a quick jog.
Yeah, you head into the library, and yeah, it's easy enough to find her. She's parked at a table with a book.
Ryven.
Learas, what are you doing in here? Where are the others?
Oh, well, they're just informing the Hall of Works of our recent discoveries.
Good idea.
Yeah, we've decided that it's best to inform as many authorities as possible, and that way we aren't the only ones who are aiding in the investigation, and we're not the only ones who can, be stopped from investigating it.
That is pretty smart. But it's unusual for people who aren't, well, I guess people who aren't wizards to be in here. What's
well, I was looking for you, actually.
Oh. What
We've arranged a
you?
meeting with the department heads at the Hall of Weave.
I heard about that.
Yeah, well, it's come to our attention that there is no current head of transmutation.
That's true. That is true. Hopefully that'll be me one day, but
I'm sure it will be, but in the meantime, I would like to invite you to join us, as we do trust you and value your ability.
I'm not sure that, well, I'm sure I can join as like a member of your group if that's what
Yes.
you're okay.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay.
We just wanted to make sure that we had someone with your trust and insight and talent in the room, especially with regards to transmutation.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. I'll thought you were asking if I could join as like the representative for transmutation. Like, there's no way they're gonna let me sit in the big chair.
Well, then they're fools, but that one problem at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Perfect. I believe we're meeting at midday, in case you
Okay.
weren't.
Yeah, I just heard that there was a meeting. I didn't pay too much attention to it since they don't usually invite me to this sort of thing.
Again, foolish, but who am I to judge, I guess.
A better judge than them.
Yeah, well, we have certain questions about the authority of the Hall of Weave, as it is.
Well, just like whenever you bring that sort of thing, she scans around the room whenever you bring up that sort of thing. Yeah, I'll be there. With my transmutation hat on.
You have a hat?
I mean, it's kind of a metaphor, but I do have a hat. You think I should wear a hat?
I mean, I think you look great, but I know that wizards often have magical implements that may.
Oh yeah, that's true. We got all kinds of knickknacks and curios.
Yeah, all I have is blades and arrows.
They're useful.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no,
I shouldn't take up your whole morning. I'm sure my friends are looking for
no,
me.
that's okay. I don't mind. Yeah, if you have more things you need to prepare for before the meeting, that's totally fine.
I'm actually not sure I do. These were the two things that we had, but I don't know. Perhaps we'll go get some breakfast or something.
It's probably a good idea. You haven't eaten yet.
Did we eat? I don't remember now, actually. I don't think we did we?
Asks in the middle of the library. Who are you talking to?
I'm asking out of character.
Yeah.
I'm not asking Ryven. Did we eat? I know you weren't there, but
I'm like, what am I, a diviner? Come on.
I'll leave you to your book. I hope it's a good one.
Well, see you in a few hours then. Let's
Yes. All right. And he just like awkwardly.
I love this because just beforehand, Shanks was like, Learas is charismatic. And then Learas talking to the woman. I
would like to point out he was charismatic with her before and now isn't.
Yeah.
That is intentional. Yeah, he just kind of awkwardly like bye, turns around and heads back out to the intersection to see if he can find the others.
Yeah, before too long, you see your companions exit out of the Hall of Works.
Oh, that's convenient. Hello. She's gonna kind of reconvene.
Yeah, she was just inside the hall in the library. So, mission accomplished. She's going to join us.
Well, that's nice. What are we gonna do until then?
Get some breakfast.
Oh. Yeah, I am hungry, so. Didn't really realize all of the. I suppose it's easy to get distracted from these things.
We've been very busy.
Is that what this feeling in my stomach is?
The busyness or the hunger?
It's literally what Cam was gonna say.
A little bit of both.
Are you
Time to get
hungry or are you
some
feeling
food.
anxious?
Maybe I'm anxious because I haven't had food yet.
It can happen.
Oh, maybe there's that tavern down the road. The one that I came and someone stole my
know what
chair
you're
there
talking
once.
about, Kit. Hold on, I think I know a place.
The few taverns in town that you've been to, I believe you've been to the Burning Turtle and the Lucky Lady.
I think it was probably the Burning Turtle. I can't find it. I can't find it in my notes. I have too many notes.
I mean, if a turtle burns long enough, wouldn't it eventually cook? I imagine it'd be called the cooked turtle by now.
That's a very wise thing to say, Wade.
Usually when you cook things, if it reaches the burnt stage, it's already past what you would eat.
Is that what the definition of cooked is? It has to be something edible?
You know, I'm not sure.
Well then. She's now gonna hook her other arm through Learas's arm, and she's gonna start leading them through. I imagine she also knows where it is.
We're heading to the Burning Turtle.
Yeah.
Right.
Kentucky Fried Turtle.
I know. Oh, I found it. Yes, it is the Burning Turtle I was looking for. I thought so.
Great, yeah. That is in the Ordox district. Easy enough to get to from here.
Yeah.
Well, what was your favorite thing about the Burning Turtle? Why you suggested it?
Oh, well, Talska, the owner, was friends with my father.
Polska.
Yes.
Google does not like that name and wants it to be Tulsa.
You know, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, well, that's nice. Do you get any sort of special treatment there?
I don't think really, other than, you know, a friendly face once in a while.
Does that mean I'm
so
in
the
for a
people-
mean face?
I was gonna say the people that don't know the owner, they don't get the friendly faces. It's that
Well,
it's
that's what I'm
that
saying,
kind of
is that
vibe. That's
It's more so just the familial tie. I don't believe that they treat me any different than any other customers because they're very good at what they do, but it's nice to connect with someone who knows my family.
That would be nice.
Yeah, y'all walking and talking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
All right.
as always.
Yeah, it's a few minutes walk through town to the south side of town in the Ordox. There's lots of buildings in Crystal Harbor are a little run down. The Burning Turtle is no different. There's a sign hanging out the window of a turtle with a very I guess you could call it like aggressive shell. It's not smooth and round. There's all these like little corners, details on it that just is a flame. This is depicted as being a flame. The sign is not literally on fire.
That would be pretty
shame.
cool.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. But yeah, you enter in, and anybody who's been in here before knows exactly what to expect. You're just hit with a wave of someone who is wearing too much patchouli. It is very thick and kind of heady in the air here, and standing, it's mid-morning, kind of getting into late morning. Not a whole lot of people going on here, but there's a few scattered patrons, and standing behind the bar, someone looks very familiar to anybody who's been in here. Tulska, large turtle with appears to be blind in one eye, and has this very large, like, scar as he turns around on the back of his shell that looks like a big scorch mark all across his back.
Is
Yes.
Is it rude to talk about that?
I mean, maybe just ask him if you want to hear the story.
Well, I was asking you. I didn't want to bring it up if that was gonna.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, Tulska. How are you?
Hey, Learas, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been too long. I've been very busy.
Making a name for yourself, I suspect. Kill anything interesting lately?
Yes, as a matter of fact. We killed a number of... what were they? They were, shit. They were like... they were mutated, giants of some kind, right? Like, what was the...
Etten?
They were Etten, right, yes. You've heard of Ettins, right, Tulska?
Yeah, those things with two heads.
Yeah, well, we found a number of them that were mutated by some sort of far realms creature, an aberration. Fighting
Sure,
along
that
Nothics, no less.
Really?
Yes.
I'm sure that'll make an interesting story.
Speaking of stories, what's the story behind your shell and your eye?
Well, do you want the true story or the interesting story?
The interesting story's more fun.
She looks at Wade. Which one?
Let's go with the interesting one first.
All right, well, you see that up there? And he points up at a shelf behind the bar, and there is this, like, large golden figurine of, it looks like maybe some sort of religious carving. You can't quite place it. Many years ago, back when I was almost a hatchling, we were delving into an abandoned ruin built into the base of a volcano, seeking treasure and adventure and intrigue and all those sorts of fun things that you do when you're adventuring out in the wilderness, which I know all of you know about. And, well, it was a hard-fought fight through this dungeon, all sorts of elemental monstrosities, creatures out trying to stop us from getting into what I presume was their home. But we made it through, and in the great room at the end of the hallway, it sat on this pedestal. It's this sculpture here. And he kind of looks wistful for a moment. Well, Grizzle, rest his bones, picked up this sculpture from the pedestal there, and it triggered some sort of trap in the end. And this, all sorts of sounds of grinding and clanking of gears going, and then it got really quiet. And then we heard, sounded like a flowing, like a thick, viscous liquid flowing. It started getting hot in the room. He triggered some sort of trap that had unleashed some of the magma from the volcano into the room and started pouring through. And of course, we all had to stand. We had to took off running. The poor Grizzle tripped. And I had rushed back to try and help him back up. His leg was broken and he wasn't going to be able to make it out. So he passed off the statue to me, and I tried to drag him out, but the heat on my back was too much, and he had pushed me forwards, made me drop him, and got out with the statue. I had to leave old Grizzle behind, not before I got horribly scorched by the hot lava coming out of the walls and the ceiling and into everything, filling in the temple, burying it in the magma.
I know a thing or two about getting involved with traps. Well, I'm very curious about how much of that is not true.
Most of it.
I think I want to stick with the interesting story because I like that a lot better. And she's like,
So
Wait.
do I.
wait, if you want to hear the real story, I'm just gonna go stand over here and chill it.
Well,
Cannon misfired.
If you wouldn't mind, Tosca, we're famished and we've got a busy day ahead of us.
Absolutely. Yep. Just, anything special? Just whatever's for breakfast.
Whatever you've got.
What's special?
I don't know. I can make stuff. It takes a little while. We've got ingredients.
No,
Oh,
we
I
don't.
thought there was
we
like
probably don't have
something
time for
special
all
on
of
the
that.
menu. No, just do the good stuff. You got it. You know it. Have I been here before? I don't think I've been here before, but I trust you.
Just whatever you got brewing, and if you don't mind, I'll take a couple of fine bottles of wine to go, as usual.
You got it.
Just the bottles. He doesn't need the wine.
Yeah.
I specifically said fine bottles of wine, not wine bottles.
Oh, he wants
Yeah.
the bottles to be made of wine.
We'll need a transmuter for that.
You've got one. Yeah. We get you some breakfast. It's like a bowl of oatmeal with some fresh fruit and some sausage.
Cam is like, is he done telling the story yet?
Could we just a little bit longer?
What? I can't hear you.
No, he's done. He's done.
Yeah, you get some breakfast, a few bottles of wine for the road, classic stuff.
Yeah. How much is that going to cost us?
And the breakfast is pretty cheap. It's just standard tavern breakfast. Don't even need to worry about that. How many bottles of wine did you want?
2.
Well, let's set you back. We'll say he'll give them to you for 10 gold for the 2 of them.
Oh, that's nice.
They really fine bottles of wine. Was this the silver leaf wine?
We got silver leaf. You want silver leaf?
I just don't know. He said fine. I don't know if that's what he's getting. I'm just curious.
I have no preference. I trust his. He picks out different selections for me every time, I think.
Only the best.
That's very much
the year
appreciated.
31.
Yeah. Oh, and this one's a vintage from 8. But yes, like living out in the wilds and everything, it's fine and all, but you miss certain comforts like a fine bottle of wine. So we stock up when I'm here.
Gotta bring the good
My
stuff
bed.
with you.
Exactly.
Miss a bed too.
Leaves are pretty comfortable. You just gotta know.
I just can't imagine going anywhere without my house strapped to my back. Seems weird. Everywhere I go, there home is.
I hear you. As long as I can find a puddle, it feels like home.
Do you decorate the inside of your home?
It doesn't really work like that. There's mostly just enough room for my head, arms, and legs.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It does seem like a very sizable shell.
They say home is where the heart is.
And that's where I keep it. Just talk to the bartender for 2 hours, not even get to the meeting today.
Well, as always, it's great to see you, Tosca. I think we need to head off to our meeting now.
That doesn't sound exciting. Well, hope it's quick.
Yeah, me too. And I hope business is going well. I'll keep pointing people in your direction.
Please do. Oh, hey, if you're looking for dinner, we got somebody in the harbor caught a incredibly large tuna this morning, and I bought it up. We're gonna have tuna steaks on special tonight.
That does sound fantastic. I'm not positive we'll still be in town, but if we are, that's where we'll be.
That sounds good. I'll save you a plate. If you don't come, I'll eat it.
Sounds good. Make sure you enjoy it with a fine bottle.
I will.
He gets up and, like, as he's leaving, he just kind of puts a couple of coins down behind the counter, like, sneakily. I feel like Tosca probably wouldn't accept tips from him, but he tries to, like, so 2 gold coins, he just kind of, he, like, pats the bar and just kind of shoves them underneath real quick and walks out.
Just for fun, roll sleight of hand for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Shit. Yeah, that's a 9.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, well, to our meeting then.
Would he have stories to share from your childhood? I'm very curious.
Maybe the odd one, but, you know, my father was, don't get me wrong, he was fantastic, but, he was a pretty stern man and expected the best from all of his children, and so in public I was always expected to act a certain way.
Is that different from the way that you act now?
A little bit. Although I suppose there was the odd time when I would get up to mischief. The Burning Turtle was a very prominent place back then. Busy all the time, lots of people, easy to slip away and get into a bit of trouble. Had my first sip of fine wine behind that bar when I was 6 years old.
Just a sip?
Just a sip. It was very strong. At least it
Was it
felt
on the
that way at the
floor?
time.
Was it on the floor or something?
No, I opened up a bottle myself.
Oh.
I was very short back then. You couldn't even see me behind the bar.
You can tell that Cam is using all of her might to hold back a comment for once.
I'd like to insight check.
Okay.
24.
What's Cam rolling here?
Deception. That will be a 5. she's like bursting.
Yeah, you
Go on and
noticed.
say it. I'm short.
I didn't mean. I wasn't going to. I know that I'm very tall.
And I like that about you. In fact, if things had gone differently, I might even be taller than I am. But it's important to my people to be conditioned under deep water and that was no longer an option.
Oh,
Are you saying that the long-term exposure to pressure caused you to be shorter than you believe you could be otherwise?
It would have made me taller. The exposure to pressure.
Yes, taller.
Triton bodies work differently.
oh, so you're saying that because you didn't spend as much time underwater.
Yes.
Oh,
The Illuminous Inlet was cut off by the time I was just a boy, so...
she turns to Wade. I wonder how much taller you would have been. You're about the same size as me.
I mean,
Or is it just Tritons?
We are a different species.
Maybe you would have been shorter then.
Possibly.
That's very interesting. I would like to hear more about the types of things that you got up to as a kid, but I suppose we have a meeting that we have to go to.
We do. But perhaps on the voyage across to Harbor Watch.
I'd like that.
All right, as y'all are approaching, excuse me, on the main street, you can kind of see all the different halls off in the distance there a little bit. Could you roll perception checks for me, please?
Seems like
perception. It's 24.
19. Oh, damn, wait.
Is with my dice rolls. 9.
Getting them out of the way.
Well, the 19 and the 24, anyway. The two of you notice coming from another, not the opposite direction, but another road that's sort of perpendicular to the street you're on. You get a quick glimpse of a familiar satyr running very quickly, making a hard corner and then dipping into the Hall of Weave very, very quickly. You recognize just Mulberry just hauling ass, trying to get into the Hall of Weave for some reason.
Do I need to make like an insight check or something? I wanted, if I saw this, I'm concerned that, did it look like she was in danger, like running from something, or felt like she was late?
Yeah, you can go ahead and make an insight check. It's going to be a little bit difficult since you're kind of far away at the moment, but go for it.
Okay, I rolled an 8, but my passive is 16.
Difficult to say for certain. If she's running from something, nothing's giving chase. You'd think she's probably you think it's more that she's just eager to get where she was going than anything else. Whether or not she's late, it would be difficult to say, but that could be it.
Well, we're headed in that direction anyway.
Maybe we'll just pick up the pace.
Yeah, and at this point, you're only a few minutes away on foot.
Yeah, we'll go up to a jog or something.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like ride in her stride. She got legs.
Right, yeah. And you head into the Hall of Weave. Smew is no longer at the desk. It is Smew normally kind of works the night shift. But Sissel is back. The person I believe you originally requested call this meeting on your behalf.
Yes.
Afternoon, Sissel. Can we go right in?
Oh, yep. I think everybody's just about ready for you. Through that door into the council chambers. We'll get the meeting underway shortly.
Has Miss Fowler arrived yet?
Oh, she's still here.
Right, but has she come through into the meeting space is what I mean. She's going to be joining us.
No. Although she poked her head out of the library a few minutes ago and looked around and went back in.
Oh, maybe we should collect her then.
Gotta collect them all.
We're gonna collect Ryven and head into the meeting.
It's time. All right.
It's time.
Let's do this, I guess. What's this? What's this meeting about?
Everything. Everything we've discovered.
Crystal and the moss-like stuff.
You're sure it's a good idea to bring all that up?
That's what I was saying.
If any of them are dangerous, they're probably already involved in it, and then we wouldn't be teaching them anything. And if they're not, then they might be an asset.
This
no,
is
you've got
the
a
last
point.
hall. We've saved them for last so that the other halls know if anything happens to us.
Yes, we're not the only ones in the know anymore.
Well, I guess that's good. That's good. Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
And I think it's a little bit early, but I don't know what's going to happen, so that might be a good time to take our break.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so get some water, get some snacks, get whichever you want to do, but we'll be back here in a few minutes. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
All right.
Inflammable
Everybody.
Fireball?
All right, hope everybody is hydrated and well snacked. We're going to do politics now.
Yay! The thing that everyone loves, and it never causes any problem.
All right, so Thistle gestures towards a large pair of double doors that run basically floor to ceiling. They're ready for you in the meeting chambers. Please follow in, and I'll follow in after you, and we'll get we'll call the meeting to order and do allow that procedural stuff. And then you can tell them what you know.
Wade, do you want to take the lead on telling them what we know?
Sure.
All right, I'll open and I'll signal to you.
Right. Yeah. So you enter through these double doors into this room that I don't even think you've been in here before. This room doesn't get used all that often. This is a grand council chamber, kind of towards the west, off to the west side of the building. Very high ceilings in here. Most of this structure is constructed as 2 stories, but this just goes straight through into what would be the 2nd story, and there's kind of a viewing gallery up there, which is currently vacant. At the other side of this circular room, or I guess more of a little bit oval shape from where you are, is a long curved God, what's it called? It's almost like a dais, but it's long enough for all of the different members of the hall's leadership to sit behind. And notably, there are two spaces in the middle that are vacant and covered heavily in cobwebs. It looks like there's some sort of symbolic vacancy of the lack of maintenance here. And pulled up to the side is another sort of separate dais that looks like it was shoved and tried to make it look as though it was part of the original one, behind which sits Baubles. But one thing that catches your eye, see, going across, the Archconjurer Chalindra Faithorn is not present, and sitting at where her seat should be, with her name tag still there, Chalindra Faithorn, is Mulberry.
I see.
Sat up there with Jacob Amatha, Thomas Fulbarrow, Flynn Diabold in the center, and Raymond Woodward.
How does Flynn look? I don't think I know.
Sorry, what was that?
I don't think Vix knows how Flynn looks.
So Flynn is an elvish gentleman. You'd guess that he's maybe 150, 200 years old. So, full grown, not an old elf by any means, not even middle-aged quite yet.
Little baby.
But
Little baby.
Little baby. Make a perception check for me.
For fuck's sakes.
Everybody
8.
can make one. 8.
Oh, fuck.
No, my
9.
passive is 16.
Yeah, you can use your passive.
Yeah,
Mine.
16 then.
17.
Okay. Yeah, then, so Cam, you're at first distracted because it looks like Baubles is excited to see you and kind of like tries to surreptitiously wave a little bit, and then, which doesn't work so well and ends up drawing a little bit of attention before she like shoots her arm back down. You of course noticed Mulberry looks like she's been hauling ass. She ran here, it looks like, from wherever she was, and is still a little bit trying to not look like she's winded. You know that one? You're like, no, I wasn't just running. I'm being official right now. But you notice around Flynn's eyes, it looks like there's like a lot more sort of crow's feet and wrinkles and things than you would expect of an elf of his apparent age.
Don't do necromancy, kids.
And you're all ushered in. There is a table placed with 3 chairs in front of you, and Sissel rapidly goes and finds a 4th for your +1.
Thank you, Sissel. Established ladies and gentlemen of the Hall of Weave, thank you for meeting with us. I am Learas Zemali. I think you all know of me. I've spent the vast majority of my life assisting the people of Crystal Harbor and protecting them against the many evils that exist in the surrounding lands and sea. And the reason we come here before you today is, unfortunately, no different than my usual task. We have made a number of potentially dangerous discoveries over the past few weeks, and as a result, we've been informing all authority figures about the potential hazards that seem to be far spread within and outside of the city. To summarize the matters for such a magically and academically capable audience as yourselves, I will yield the floor to my companion, Wade.
I am Wade, you all know me.
Cam doesn't know if she should clap. She just like goes to do that and nobody else does, so she puts her hands down.
I figure it would be easiest to start with one of the most recent events, Broxel's Bruise. I don't know how much everyone here is aware of what happened there, but we had come across a substance that we termed Skelgi. What was the three Do we remember what it was actually called, or if there was a term?
Yes,
A
I
proper
believe it was
term?
called the Scourge.
The Murk.
The Murk,
The
sorry,
Murk.
yes.
Yes, it is properly termed the Murk, but this may go back hundreds of years, and there might not be like any documentation around it. But we were unfamiliar with what this substance was, so we asked Broxel to look into it. Well, he looked into it, and we all saw what happened there. The result was disastrous, to say the least. You know, potentially dangerous to anybody who was around at the time that the vegetation grew. What happened to Broxel is perhaps even more concerning. He was in contact with the substance, and anyone who comes into contact with substance for too long is subject to the same things. This substance and a strange crystal formation are linked to a separate plane. And whoever linked these substances and crystals to a separate plane is trying to take over the people who come into contact with him. Broxel described it as like another person trying to take over their mind.
At some point, you're interrupted here by Raymond Woodward, the chair of the Abjuration Department. Broxel yet lives, and you have spoken with him.
That's yes and no.
The being
Broxel,
that formerly was
Go ahead.
Broxel, it still exists.
however, he doesn't exist in the form that we, once knew. He's like, I guess, sort of transmuted into like a plant creature who still has his sensibilities about him. It's hard to describe, but he still lives.
Is this plant creature located within the city?
Oh, he was concerned about. He was concerned that whatever was trying to take over his mind would succeed, and he wanted to distance himself.
So I believe Broxel, while he was still Broxel, was the one who decided to leave town immediately.
I can vouch for the fact that he seemed to be of sound mind and no threat to the people. Given my track record, I think you can understand that if I considered him a threat, I would have put an end to it.
Y'all would have. Flynn, when we spoke to Broxel, he did mention that you were aware, or you had perhaps were helping him investigate this, the Murk, or perhaps you had knowledge of it.
And he's just kind of been looking at you, not aggressively, but just with this very cool, sort of cold, almost like a glare, but not necessarily with aggression in it.
I would like to insight him if possible.
I am also waiting to insight
Absolutely.
anything he says.
I want to insight his reaction to Wade pointing out we know you know about this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's specifically my focus. Oh, fuck, I didn't do well though.
And I'm going to wait until he says something.
Yeah, that's
just
only an
to
11.
discern some sort of
Mm-hmm.
deception going on.
I have a passive insight of 16. I did not roll high.
As do I, if we have passive insight.
I think in this case, I'm going to call for active insight checks for this.
Totally fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had 10.
He and Wade, he is generally extremely even keeled, like not prone to expressions of much emotion, and in this instance he is no different. He's kind of a hard guy to read, but knowing him as you do, you can assume fairly safely that part of his focus on you may have to do with your recent transfer of departments. This is Mr. Wade, I do not appreciate it feels as though you are attempting to imply something. Yes, I have stopped by Broxel's many times. I was in his shop the night before the incident occurred, purchasing some potion supplies and speaking with him, and he had mentioned that he had gotten his hands on a new substance that I might be interested in, and he gave me a small sample.
Yes, I was trying to imply that hopefully you had time to examine it. It had been a bit since we had spoken to Broxel between now and today, or between then and today. So I was trying to, I thought you had known something of it.
You see some of the other members of the leadership here, like looking back and forth at each other a little bit, looking kind of between you and Flynn. Yes, I have had some chance to do some small experimentation on it. It seems to be a potential reagent for any number of magical concoctions. It didn't try to eat my brain or anything like that.
That's good.
That's good. Moving on to...
I am not turned into a plant. We shall need to know his location, though. Any sort of strange new creature in the area needs to be investigated.
Absolutely. You are welcome to go find him.
Moving on to the second dangerous thing that we had come across was Mistglow Prism. Not sure if anyone here is familiar with the crystal formation or not.
Let's roll a handful of Arcana checks.
We were asked to look into some strange lights recently, and this is not the first time we've come across Mistglow Prism, but the lights were will-o-wisps, formerly known as Alden Locke. I'm not sure if anyone knows Alden Locke, but he was a researcher looking into the Mistglow Prism. This is another thing that had attempted to take over his mind.
Since y'all said y'all were looking for reactions, now I'll have everybody roll insight checks.
Yeah.
I roll higher this time. Oh my gosh, that's a 1.
It's a 10.
A 10?
Total of
so
7.
16 is our highest.
16.
All
right.
So,
hang on. You, Learas,
Yes.
notice that who is it? that Thomas Fullbarrel seems to briefly divert his attention from Flynn when the name of the true name of the Will-O-Wisps is mentioned. It's very subtle, but you get the sense that he wasn't expecting to hear that name today.
Interesting. Okay.
So Alden Locke was looking into this crystal formation along with Dr. Alara Whitlock and Professor Victor Ashford. And they had learned about this crystal, its potential extraplanar connections. But Alden Locke, I don't know if you call it passed away, but he passed away and turned into the Will-O-Wisp in that area. And we were studying the crystal, and we decided to distance ourselves from it and dispel it to try and break the connection to the extraplanar, whatever plane it was connected to. The water in the area that it was submerged in became thick, and it's just the whole area was strangely distorted. We were able to
I'm going to take this opportunity to give them a visual aid and just kind of squirts a little bit of the thick water out of his water skin onto the table.
They all sort of lean forwards a little bit.
This was normal river water before that occurred.
Ooh, that was a good series of rolls. Raymond Woodward, the chair of the Abjuration Department, speaks up. Extraplanar. Were you, you weren't able to determine which plane, were you?
No.
I do not wish to alarm the room. The description you've given, it sounds as Far Realm influence to me. And Jacob Amatha, the diviner, turns to says, Ray, not everything's the Far Realm, man.
Okay, but
actually,
we've come across creatures formerly known as Etten, which were mutated.
As in by an aberration.
And I'll give a brief description of what they look like and what spell they were trying to cast, and how that affected like the haste or the slowed, and the whole time the weird soup thing. Does that sound like Far Realm?
Well, it does. It's Flynn. It could be any number of planes. Transiting between here and the Feywild has strange time dilation properties as well as some of the other outer planes.
Wasn't? Yes.
Nonetheless, this is of interest and concern.
We did also learn that the crystals seemed to be conjured to where they were rather than just growing there.
Yes, these are not natural crystal formations.
Eyes sort of turn to Mulberry, representing the Conjuration Department here in the absence of Talindra Thaythorn. Miss Mulberry, do you know of any practice of conjuring elements from the far realm? I know it is much easier to contact the closer planes. Well, I've never. So theoretically, yes, you could do that. It'd be pretty hard. It'd be pretty difficult to do. There's not a lot of places where they call it the far realm for a reason, right? There's not a lot of places where it is near our realm. So I guess the easiest way to do that would probably be to go through another plane, to draw something to another plane as an intermediary step, and then pull it here once it was closer, I guess.
Would the Feywild be an adequate go through?
I mean, You could. The Feywild's pretty close. And so the Feywild is kind of like a reflection of our plane off the edge of the astral plane. And the positive energy plane, kind of where they come together, and parts of it are close. You'd want to go through. You'd want to go through the astral. That would be the easiest way, I think, if I'm remembering my planar geography. But I guess if there was a place in the Feywild that was nearer to those borders, to the border of the positive energy plane, I guess you could go that way.
Well, I asked because the creatures from the far realm that seemed to be trying to bridge the gap between realms were using a portal to the Feywild.
And some murmuring. Where is this portal?
Inaccessible.
Just kind of staring at you. Inaccessible, yet you have seen it.
Yes, it's inaccessible to you.
Ah. I understand that you all have recently come in the employ of the giant that traipsed its way through Sten's Gap several weeks ago.
Yes, that was a misunderstanding. And what we are talking about is a very powerful storm giant, one that does not seek to quarrel with anyone, whether in Sten's Gap or Crystal Harbor, but would rather see this realm protected as we do.
Well, then we have much in common. Perhaps we could work together on this.
Perhaps. And I'd be willing to assist in liaisoning an arrangement between the groups. However, you must understand that the potential for catastrophe is great, and we don't want to alienate very powerful potential allies.
No, you wouldn't want to do that.
Has anyone here heard of Calxoss?
Bobbles looks a little confused, but you see a glint of recognition in the others' faces. Bobbles and Mulberry don't seem familiar, but the others sort of perk up, especially Raymond.
Love that guy. Everyone loves him. I can't help myself. You call someone Raymond, I'm going to do it.
It's fair. It's fair. Yes, the aggressor in the war centuries ago.
It's a very political way to put it.
Are you aware that Calxoss used similar the Murk? That's where the Murk originated?
There's some little bit more murmuring. And some of the different council members lean in and sort of whisper to each other a little bit. Flynn sat there in the middle. I was not aware of this. Y'all can make insight checks if you want.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a total of 9. I got
Same.
this. The time that I need insight the most.
Throwing this out.
Guys, I've got this. 26.
Woo!
Finally.
What do you get with the 26?
Everything.
All the things.
Pretty sure he just knows the end of the plot now.
Yeah. I figured it out, guys.
It was you the whole time.
Officer, you.
Yeah. So the way he pauses before he speaks just a little bit too long for your liking, Learas, and there is definitely something that he knows more about the substance than he's letting on, and he knows more about Calxoss than he's letting on. That you can be sure of.
Yeah.
With also, was it 27?
26.
26. Oh, well then never mind. No.
Like to be exact.
Thomas Fullbarrel of the illusion department is looking a little bit what's the word I want to use here?
Nervous?
Not quite. Maybe a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit
Mixed.
anticipatory, maybe. He looks like he has heard something that he wanted to hear, and wants to take. He's got the air of somebody who is like, now he's like, okay, I want this meeting to be done, but I have things that I need to do now. But I'm gonna stay here and be polite and be present in the meeting because I have to. But he's like, he's thinking about what he's going to do after this meeting now, and it seems to have been prompted by your mention of.
Given my role and my experience investigating and questioning people and that sort of thing, I'm just wondering if Learas would be able to discern, is this more of a reaction out of self-preservation, or is it more of a reaction out of like suspicion against Flynn or someone else?
That's a really good question. It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both.
Interesting. Okay.
So we came across both the Skelgi and the Mistglow Prism at Silverleaf Wine, correct?
Yes, you did see both of them there.
Yeah, because
Both of where and Flynn had those skeleton or necromancy workers there.
The Mistglow Prism was also connected with Calxoss, right?
I don't know if we established that connection because we
heard
heard of the Murk.
speculated that. You had speculated
We
that.
we heard about the Murk in the poem, and but I don't know if there was.
But wasn't the crystal what connected that researcher to Calxoss, who then, I don't know, took them over or killed them or something?
Yes, that did. That's what
Okay.
the creature. Yeah, you're right. Remembering that.
That's
now.
what I thought. Based, like, I didn't write that out explicitly, but based on my notes, I'm certain that there was something that happened there, connecting the two. So then Learas will just kind of add on to that, and seeing the reactions he's getting. Furthermore, the crystal, the Mistglow Prism that we found up at the abandoned ruin, was directly connected to Calxoss. I don't know if it was connected to an iteration of them from the past, or perhaps maybe a modern stand-in, or perhaps the original themselves.
Alden Locke said it called itself Calxoss.
Like that. Raymond. I'm sure. Concerning. That doesn't. Calxoss was killed hundreds of years ago. I find it difficult to believe that just now, if this entity still exists, but that just now it seems, what is it, waking up and trying to take over the coast again?
I don't know. As you know, I was not present during the war. I don't know what actually happened or what's going on over at the fort, but I do know that something connected to Calxoss is going on. I don't know. Maybe a very powerful necromancer brought them back. And I am watching for a reaction.
Make an insight check.
Another one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It'd be
I rolled a
hilarious.
25.
16.
It'd be hilarious to me if Flynn turned out just to be just some guy. Like he's not bad. Just likes necromancy, and we're just like, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's not even actually a necromancer. He just likes it.
Yeah.
Thought it was cool.
He wanted to be edgy. Sorry, what did you get?
I had a 16. I think Fal got a 25.
25.
Yeah, I got a 25.
He looks extremely offended. Like, you, especially with your high roll there, Fal, you can tell he's like holding some rage together just barely at this implication here. It would have to be a quite powerful necromancer indeed to resurrect someone who was already dead hundreds of years ago when they were re-killed.
But you're the expert here. I don't know anything about necromancy. Is it possible?
If it is far beyond me.
Another insight.
I'm gonna let you keep that. I'm gonna let you keep that 25. This is sort of the same line of insight. He believes what he is saying. That he is not. If it is, he's not confident that it would be possible to resurrect somebody who was undead and then made re-dead.
Sorry, I feel that I've missed an important detail. Are you telling me that Calxoss was already undead during the war?
Yes.
Remember, we learned that Calxoss was human at some point and then turned herself into a lich.
Are you certain that you know how to permanently kill a lich, or the people who fought Calxoss did.
I was not there.
I don't know much about such magical beings, but if the legends are to be believed, then escaping death is what they're expert at.
That is the purpose with which one would undergo that ritual, but there is an anchor that they need to have to keep their essence on this plane, and you would need to destroy that. And regardless, from all of the literature that exists on the topic that I am aware of, that process of regenerating takes well less than 500 years.
Perhaps, but perhaps gathering the power and the forces and the influence, the crystals and the Murk that Calxoss needed did take several hundred years. And so they decided to remain out of sight.
Well, if indeed the city and the whole bay's old foe has returned, this is of great concern.
Especially because I believe that the creatures from the far realm are coming from their fort. Fort Oss.
So from let's see, yeah. Still Flynn speaking, this would represent a new tactic from any of the histories of the war. There's no mention of any extraplanar influence in those surviving records.
Well, perhaps that's a new thing then. Maybe whatever the army did to them in the past didn't eliminate them, but cast them out to the far realm. Perhaps it took them time to gather strength and return.
The various different, you can see just the way that people are kind of interacting with each other and looking at each other here, that there is very much some factionalism going on within this board that runs the Hall of Weave, and it's
as much.
that kind of gets put aside for a moment, and everybody looks very concerned, conceive this potential threat from the far realm that you're raising here with what seems like a pretty decent reason to be concerned about it. Not just somebody raving in the street about the far realm coming. Y'all got receipts, but let's see. Yeah, Mulberry speaks up and says, if any of you are right about this, we have great cause for concern. Any entity, regardless of how human or undead or prime material planar it used to be, if it's spent 500 years in the far realm, it is going to be vastly different from whatever it used to be.
Yes, that makes sense to me. But does that not make them more dangerous?
Incredibly so, potentially. It also has there's not many writings on the study of that realm. Nobody who's tried to go there has come back with their mind intact. So at least none of the records that I've read, and Lindra was here. But even if it is more powerful, it may not be what we would recognize as rational, and that could be a boon for us if that is what we're dealing with. But it also might make it harder to predict what it wants.
Would there be anything to explain, like if a creature spoke to was like speaking two different languages at the same time, would exposure to the far realm explain something like that?
Two different. How do you mean two different languages at the same time?
Like if one person was speaking like twice overlapped.
Are you addressing this to Mulberry in particular, or?
Yeah, but like, if anybody else has input.
Yeah, I think most eyes go to her, as the conjurers would know the most about any of the other planes and what goes on there. Guess it could be possible. I guess it's also, if you had two heads, you could do that. I can. It's not. I can. There's ways of communicating telepathically, and I can. I think many of us, and she gestures towards all of the department heads up there. Well, all of us can. I think everybody here knows how to communicate at a distance. I could do that at the same time that I'm speaking in another language.
What about telepathically broadcasting two languages to one person at the same time?
Could be possible. I've never heard of that, but it could be possible.
Well, we know it's possible, unfortunately.
Well, your question is specifically about far realm influence enabling that. I couldn't say yes. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say yes. I don't know.
This Murk, according to the historians, it was it caused an illness during the war. Is that correct?
Yes, it caused from the surviving accounts, it caused individuals' bodies and minds to be taken over and subjected to the will of Calxoss. It would spread across the skin like a rash at first, covering the much as you described, covering the victim in the slimy substance, causing it to sort of almost sweat it out.
And now it seems that what we're dealing with is causing a very different reaction. It's a very sudden, very rapid transformation, as well as an attempt to take over the will. Perhaps something new learned, something changed in the Murk because of its exposure. I don't know.
Well,
but
Raymond who speaks up, or maybe somebody is attempting to take up maybe somebody new is taking up the mantle of Calxoss, his delusions of grandeur.
It's very possible.
Use their name.
Something I've ruled out. But that would take an expert in transmutation, I would think, wouldn't it?
Do we have any records on how long the transmutation department head has been vacant?
Are you asking that to me or to the panel?
To the panel.
They kind of like mutter. And just like Cecil in the back of the room speaks up. We would have records of that in. I've got some logbooks. Go back a long ways. I can try and find that. It's been a long time though.
Well, he just kind of looks at Ryven to see if she has anything to add from a transmutation point of view.
Yeah, and could you pose the specific question to me again?
Basically, he's wondering at what could cause the change of the way that the Murk is affecting people, and would it require a transmutation wizard of some kind, or would it be simply exposure to the far realm or anything else?
To Riven. Yeah, it could be. You can, with the right transmutation spell, you can change just about any property of any substance, some harder than others. Living things, the most difficult. Things that have a sense of what they are supposed to be are much harder to change. So magical items, very difficult to transmute. Living beings, not quite as hard as magical items. And then the more willful the being, the more difficult. If this is like a disease, that could be, you could maybe do. I wouldn't. It's possible. It could be that someone's using it for repurposing. I don't know. It could be.
That's fair. You bring up an interesting point, though. The will of something. Is there any way to determine if the Murk itself has a will?
Probably. I'd need a sample. Kind of looks up at Flynn.
Turn to Flynn.
Flynn has a sample.
Mr. Diabold, would it be all right if I examined that vial of the substance that you got from Broxel? Absolutely, yes. Please come by my office immediately after this meeting, and you may take a look at it.
Clarification: Who is interacting with Flynn right now over this?
Riven.
Riven. Okay.
I don't like the idea of her. Like, this is out of character.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of her going alone.
I'm suspicious of this right now, which is why I was asking.
Actually, it's fine. Learas isn't gonna say anything in that moment. Learas is gonna do what he does best, and he's gonna investigate what happens without being seen.
Have I missed anything, Learas or Cam? We've covered a lot, but
I think you've done a fantastic job. I can't think of anything we have left out. Aside from details that I feel are best kept protected for the time being, though, as I said, I'm willing to work with this council. I just want to protect my allies from undue persecution.
And I'm gonna turn to like Learas and Cam and be like, should we mention Ovitunde or how Ovitunde was turned into a miniature?
I don't think that's wise, because I don't quite think that they know that we know all of the things that we do know about the special project annex.
And I'll turn back to the panel, be like, I've covered quite a bit. I hope that's enough information to go off of, you know?
And just so that you don't think that this is some sort of secret that we're bringing to you, it's important that you know we have shared this information with the other halls as well. Maybe not to the same degree, but as this is primarily a magical concern, we've wanted the people of Crystal Harbor to be well equipped to watch out for the dangers ahead and be informed enough to not succumb to them.
Some nodding from the council up there, and Raymond's good. I was going to do that myself after this meeting. You've saved me some time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you need to tell us about this? Any more information that you have would be helpful, if you have any.
I can't think of anything else we can tell you that would be helpful, other than reassurance that we are going to continue our pursuit, and that we will do our absolute best to prevent any harm to the people of Crystal Harbor.
I'm gonna turn back towards Learas and Kate. Like, should we mention Silverleaf?
I wasn't with you at Silverleaf, so I don't...
Oh. Cam?
I don't see why not. We were sent there after all on official mission.
I'm gonna turn back to the panel. One last.
1 second. Sorry, I would have interrupted you before you got to talk to them. Knowing what I do know about Silverleaf, were there any other pieces on that board still? Like, are there other...
Oh, that was... Silverleaf was a winery that we went to before that place.
Oh, it was before that. They're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought that's where you discovered that. Okay.
No, 2 different places.
Then never mind. I withdraw my question.
One last thing. We first encountered both the Murk and Mistglow Prism at the Silverleaf Winery, where the necromancy, like, were they skeletons?
Yeah, they were skeletons.
Right, covered. Where the skeletons that were contracted, or however that works, to work there, the skeletons were covered in the Murk. And were they digging towards the crystal?
They had dug towards the crystal. They had dug through the back of, like, the aging cellar into what appeared to be a small cavern with one of these crystals, big crystals in the center.
The skeletons had broken through, like, a wall in the earth or the cellar and exposed a portion of this Mistglow Prism that was down there. We told the owners of Silverleaf to avoid that area because we didn't know anything about, like, this was our first encounter with the substance and the crystal, and we had done some initial investigations, but, you know, it isn't until now that we recognize the danger that both the Murk and Mistglow Prism present.
And Flynn speaks up at this point. He looks, he's kind of got, like, a little bit of a vein going here. And thank you for answering my next question as to why you thought to wait until now to identify the cause of the wayward skeletons.
I was not aware of this. Just pointing that out.
Right under the bus.
And my reputation is all I have.
If you do find anything in the future, regardless of whether or not you are aware of it as a threat, please let me know.
Sorry, there's just so much information that some of it, and I'm gonna pull out the necromancer robes that we had come across, like the Hall of Weave necromancer robes that we found in that one place. Are these, like, are those recent robes, or are those, like, dated?
We all kind of lean forward and look at it. The uniform, such as it is, has not changed in a very long time. Judging by the state of the cloth, I would say dated.
Well, in our travels, we came across these robes, sort of like in areas that, where we came across other samples of Mistglow Prism.
Are you saying You found those robes.
Yes. Along with, and I'll pull out like the necromancer supplies as well, like, these magical components and whatnot.
Do you have any idea who they might belong to?
Let's see. All the kind of lean forward. Just, would you bring those up here, please? And they kind of start passing the different pieces around and looking at them, holding them up, and looking, they write their name on the tag.
They find feathers in there, and it's like, Smew! And we go outside, and he's gone. He flew the coop.
you guys united on that one.
Tal and I have been sharing a brain cell all night, it seems.
They kind of look them over. Says, there's, everybody is looking these things over. Says, these are most certainly supplies that would be used in the practice of necromancy. They appear to be old. These would be older than the reintroduction of the permission of practice of necromancy in the city.
Then how did they get official necromancy robes?
That would be a very good question.
Was necromancy allowed at some point in the past, like
very much so. Very much so.
It could have been
before the war. The practice of necromancy was thriving in the city.
These couldn't be that old, though, could they?
Unless they were preserved somehow, they would have long turned to dust.
That's my thinking as well.
And if someone was practicing necromancy for that period of time, perhaps they would have a reason to, I don't know why they'd preserve these robes, but I mean, perhaps a diviner could.
I think it's far more likely that somebody was being enabled by the Hall of Weave, despite it being unofficial and illegal.
So a diviner?
Before, a word of caution, we have had an outside entity perform divination in regards to these events. Whatever entity is involved wasn't too happy about that.
What do you...
Like the individual took psychic damage.
Oh, I got you. There is probably some sort of. You said they tried to scry?
Yes.
Oh, there's probably some sort of abjuration against that. You'd know all about that, Raymond. What? I can. Maybe I can try and figure out whose these are. Wouldn't need to scry. It'd be a relatively simple ritual to identify the owner of an object.
Take it away.
I can't do it here. I need supplies and a magic circle.
Dark room lit with candles.
Yeah, all that classic stuff.
Well, I think we've shared everything we can at this point. Perhaps one of my companions can join you and you can determine the owner of those robes. I know Ryben wants to check out the sample that Flynn has. We've got a lot of business to see to. In fact, we've just been informed recently that the people of Harbor Watch are in desperate need of help, and I doubt it's connected to any of this, but on the off chance that it is, and knowing that there are very few willing to go and fight on their behalf, we might have to go check that out as well.
I need to drink my water bowl.
Yeah, drink your water. Water.
Well, very well. If there is no additional information, any more evidence to be delivered, we can disperse the meeting. Ryven with me.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you all came to meet with us, and I appreciate that you all seem dedicated to dealing with the threat to the people of Crystal Harbor.
Of course, if we cannot protect the people from what appears to be an extraplanar threat, what purpose does this institution have?
I agree, wholeheartedly. Slightly pointed statement.
Slightly pointed in response.
Although, really, Learas, people in glass houses kind of situation. He's seeking to rectify it, though. You know, he is.
Right. Very well, and I shall call this meeting adjourned.
All right. Do you two want to go find out the owner of those robes, or does one of you want to accompany me to ensure that Ryven's safety is intact?
Try to be stealthy.
Yes.
You don't have to push yourself. If you'd rather do the other thing, I'm up to the task.
Well, I would rather help Ryven, but if you're trying to be quiet, that's not exactly my skill set. I would have offered to just go with her. It is not... It wouldn't be completely unfounded if we tagged along.
No, but I do want Flynn to have the illusion of anonymity should he choose to reveal anything, though as sneaky as that guy is, and I know he's hiding information from us, something about our interaction, it leads me to believe that he's not behind this. In fact, I imagine he wants to put an end to it. Just call it instinct, but that's where I land on it.
Who was that other guy?
I don't trust him, though.
Wait, where did we find those robes?
That's...
I believe you found them in... You found them in that, the basement of that abandoned shack that you met Learas in, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
With that, like, zombie beholder and the animated bear's head, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah.
That was such a wonderful time.
Do you remember what Elvatende said about that elf, Vamir? Didn't he have some involvement with some necromancers?
What was the name?
Vamir? I'm pretty sure that's what she said.
That's actually not ringing a bell for me.
Like 200 years ago or so.
Vamir. Elvatende used to work with him, used to be a member of the Hall of Weave. Treachery of Vamir, the elf governing Crystal Harbor.
Yeah, he was the leader of Crystal Harbor at one point.
Didn't she say though that he allied himself with the necromancers that conquered the port or something?
Yes.
It was just a thought. That's the only old thing that I know in this situation.
So you think that maybe he somehow enabled a necromancer to act within a sort of semi-official capacity?
Well, I wasn't putting things that together, but I was just kind of throwing out the things that I remember.
That's fair.
It's just a
Um,
lot of things that it's been what, like
It's
2-3 weeks, and it feels
Y'all
like
learned
we
a
lived a
lot real
lifetime.
fast. Y'all learned a lot real fast.
just another connection point that I thought.
it's definitely something we need to keep in mind, though it's not. It's a tenuous connection. Until we have something solid, there's nothing to share.
And by this point, most of the rest of the archwizards have filed out of the room, and actually, the Mulberry actually comes up to y'all. That was stressful. You guys doing okay?
Was it?
Well, I mean, it was for me. I've never sat in a big chair before.
If sitting in a chair is the
What?
hardest thing you have to do today, then I think you had a pretty easy day.
I think you did a
I
very
like the
good
way
job.
you think. I like the way you think, Learas.
Is Talindra okay?
Oh, yeah, she's working on a research project in the Tura Hills that she didn't want to leave. So she asked me to. She sent me sort of as her envoy.
Well, you did a fantastic
I
job.
almost feel like Talindra's the one losing out on this treasure trove of
Chaos.
WTF.
Yeah, I think after I tell her what went down, she's going to be interested in hearing what went down here today.
Well, if she has help to offer, we're in desperate need of it.
Like I said,
Hey,
if anybody would know about conjuring, if there's anyone else who knows things that I don't know, it's going to be her.
speaking of which, I did remember, and I rummaged around. Learas, did I give you that crystal, or did I hold on to that?
And I gave it to you.
Yes, you give it to me. This one here, and I'm going to pass it to Mulberry. Like here is a sample of the Mistglow Prism after the spell has been cast upon it.
She takes it from you very quickly, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was rude." And it's just super engrossed by this thing.
Perhaps you or your mentor could advise us of the implications of the conjuring of such a thing.
This is going to make it a lot easier to figure out anything. Thank you for sharing this with me. And she puts it in her bag. I'm going to go look at that right now, unless there's anything you need from me.
Well, you can send to us if you discover anything, right?
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I find out. If I find out.
Sorry, wait, what did you want Mulberry to remember?
I was just going to say that, remember that last we saw there was a live version of this crystal at Silverleaf. We've also seen it where those lights had been reported. That was the one, that's where we dispelled it. There was also one other location.
So is there still a crystal node at Silverleaf that is active?
Last we were there, yes.
Okay. Well,
we didn't do anything to it.
If you go to investigate that one, do be careful, because without dispelling that magic, it could potentially take over your mind.
This is pretty big. This is going to be we'll need some of the clerics from the Hall of Works for this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They should be at least as powerful as Cam, if not more so.
He means magically, safety. Not physically, for the record. I think you'd be hard pressed on the second one.
I don't know. There's some of the forge clerics there are pretty beefy.
Out of character. Did Flynn and Riven leave already?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said they did already. So
But-
we've only been
so-
discussing things for a minute, though. It's like
Yeah,
he's
it's-
not going to be like immediately walk through the door, stab her in the heart. I'm sure.
I'm just like,
they're also-
do you know where
never
he
know.
lives?
Well, I assume Wade would know where Flynn's office is.
Yeah, you would.
Let's just go down the hall and then take a left and a right and a left,
Does it-
right.
Does it have like a outside facing window?
Yeah.
Or is it? Okay.
It is on the second
outside,
story, though.
Oh,
That's
there
not gonna
he
stop
has
me.
it here. Okay.
then.
That won't stop me.
Cool. So you, Shanks, you're gonna go after Flynn, and what
Yes.
are the other two are you gonna do?
I can't climb walls very well, so I don't know. I guess I can sit in on the robe ritual of the robes.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
All right. So we're gonna follow that party first.
Yep.
So you catch up with Jacob Amatha, the chief diviner here. Man, that's some pretty crazy stuff.
Imagine just learning all of this within like a matter of weeks, and you're like, one day you're like, oh, what's this strange algae? And then like a week later, you're like, oh, this is hundreds of years old and it can take over your mind.
What's even crazier is we had a friend who dived right into some of it and was totally fine.
That's really impressive. Does your friend have anything to do with this? If he can touch it and just like, if it really takes over your mind, he must have the strongest mind to
Or
have
maybe-
successfully resisted it.
Yeah, maybe that is it. Maybe it's just a force of being intellectual against whatever's trying to take over your mind.
Well, and you said, kind of crazy learning this all in a couple. I learned this all today, man. Imagine, like, whoa, this is a lot all at once. But yeah, we're gonna figure out. Yeah, I'm just this way. He takes you through some corridors, down a hall, up some stairs, into this old oak door, into this office, and it enters in, and there's like all of this incense burning, just crystals everywhere, various like potted plants and things, like little like crystalline and various metal orbs placed at different strategic locations. Well, welcome to my office. Let's figure out who this robe belongs to.
Cam is like looking at all of everything is very cool to her at the moment. She likes the scents, she likes the shiny crystal orbs. So it takes her a moment before she actually turns her attention to him, and she goes, so you can really just find out who this belongs to with magic?
Oh yeah, there's sort of you can tell like when you come into contact with anything, it sort of leaves an echo of your memory of your interaction with it within the object, and the more time you spend with something, the stronger that impression is. So if these, and it does fade over time, but if these were worn any kind of recently or for any kind of length of time, I'm going to be able to figure out who was doing that.
That's really impressive.
You just got to know what to look for. Like, there's all these patterns and vibrations in nature that you can pick up on if you just know where to look and redirect the energy.
Interesting. I am able to locate objects and things like that, but
It's not too different than that.
Oh, maybe someday I can learn how to do that then.
I bet you can. If you can already locate an object, locating its history is just the next step.
Oh, that's something to think about. I think you would discover so many cool stories if you just studied just random objects you find. Like, this must have, she like picks up a random thing on his desk, not really even without any caution at all, knowing that he's like a diviner.
He doesn't seem to have, and if he's just letting it ride.
It's just like, she goes, like, I bet I could learn so much about you just by doing that to one of these objects in your room.
I bet you could.
Oh, I like that. And she puts it back down.
But yeah, let's get this going. And there's there's a clear spot in the middle of the floor that's devoid of crystals and incense and anything like that. And he sort of puts the robe down on the floor and makes some sort of arcane gestures over it. This process takes a few minutes to cast a ritual, and there's some meditating, some deep breathing, a little bit of chanting going on, and oh, that's weird.
What's weird?
These robes think they're Flynn's.
Oh, fuck. I'm not there, but fuck.
Is it that weird? I actually want to insight check this too when I ask. Is it all that weird? He's pretty powerful and invested in all of these things, right? Maybe he lost some of them.
That could be. Yeah, make your insight check.
What's this guy's name again?
This is Jacob Amatha.
Okay.
Fucking hell, man.
A lot of names today.
Yeah.
So 13?
13?
Flynn's a pretty trustworthy man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a short temper on him, but he seems to be, more or less. The guy needs to relax a little bit. But I think if these are as old as I think they are, then Flynn would have been, what, about 75 when these were made? He would have just been a baby. For an elf. The guy you're speaking to now, Jacob, is a human.
Sorry, how long ago did you say?
He didn't specifically say. He said Flynn would have been about 75 when these were made.
And Cam thinks that he's like 150 to 200-ish.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So when you say the robes think they are Flynn's, like, are you getting an impression of Flynn, like, visually? Or, like...
It's not really a visual. It's more of the idea of seeing something, if that makes sense.
I'm just wondering, like, if... Does it look like in your... I don't know how divination magic works, like when you read the memory of this object, like, is it like, oh, this is Flynn's, or is it like, oh, this is somebody that looks like Flynn?
Oh, like, I see what you mean. No, it's not. I'm not seeing someone and I think that someone is Flynn. There's no visual like that as I connect with the inherent energies that the cloth remembers interacting with. And
is there any way that could be skewed or
oh yeah, for sure.
Well, that's unfortunate.
What type of magic?
Bye.
What type of magic? Was that divination magic or some other magic would?
No, divination is more about finding stuff out rather than concealing it. It could be let me see, it could be transmutation, it could be illusion, it could be abjuration. If you wanted to do, I'm not saying that this is, hang on. I don't see this under any immediate magical effect. Recognize a casting of detect magic there pretty quickly.
Does necromancy, does it affect your aging at all? I'm just wondering if Flynn is not as perhaps youthful, or the age that he is isn't apparent. I know it's already hard to tell with elves. But...
yeah, and they just like stop aging once they hit like 125, and then they hit 500, and then it just looks like they are 500.
I want to ritual cast identify on the robes.
He did just tell you that there was no magic on them.
Yes, he just told me that.
I mean, that's
but he also uses, what was it, detect magic?
Yeah.
Well, this is. So I'm just trying every angle here to.
Yeah. Reading identify real quick.
Because, like, Wade is inherently inherently doesn't trust Flynn, but at the same time, like, we brought up the fact that maybe someone could skew the divination ritual, and I don't want to,
Yeah, so you spend casting it as a ritual.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, go ahead, take a look. And over the course of the 10 minutes, it flags up as, this is robes. The identify doesn't really interact with it in any meaningful way.
That's not good.
You suppose he knew that?
If they're his robes, there's no way he wouldn't know.
Well,
is there any way to tell if anyone else wore these robes?
Well, maybe it'd be a little bit more difficult. Like, I'm picking up a lot of you on these. I'm gathering that's probably because it's been in your bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just been sitting there.
Yeah, I'll make an Arcana check. Spend another moment thinking, analyzing, meditating on this robe. It's not just traces of your party and then just Flynn.
Well, I think
mystery.
Would you be able to keep this quiet for a bit?
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to do. If he's wrapped up in this, I don't want him to catch wise.
Thank you.
But to be fair, he already knows. Just by the fact that
he might not know that I know that he knows that You hang on.
This guy
You know what I'm
probably
trying to
sat in
say.
a room full of smoke and hallucinogens just before the meeting.
It's part of his job.
Just
He
doing
doesn't,
my
you know,
job.
he doesn't know, you know, we know.
Yeah, that's the one. Thank
Okay,
you.
we should probably, okay, we're gonna go now.
Yeah, as we leave, I'm gonna cast a real quick sending to Learas, who's had, I don't know, like 30 minutes at this point, probably.
Thereabouts.
So you can go ahead and do that, but like 30 minutes in, Cam is gonna send a message to him.
Yeah. So, Learas
And I
goes
think-
around the outside. Oh, sorry, you wrapping up?
I think so. It is 9 o'clock.
That's fair.
But before we wrap up, and I'm sorry to leave you on that cliffhanger. I'm gonna leave you on another one too. Cam, you, as you are leaving Jacob's office, you receive a message in your head which says, meet me at the Lucky Lady tonight. Don't tell anyone not in your party.
Do I know who that is?
You do not.
Okay.
So you hear that? Yeah, this was not the sending spell, so it doesn't come with the return address. This was message that you were receiving. So whoever it was nearby, but we need to leave on two cliffhangers there, or I guess a wall hanger for Learas, who I'm assuming is climbing up the outside building to try and look at the exterior window, from what I gather.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He's going to sneak around the outside of the building. I did roll my stealth check when I decided on this course of action. I'm putting it out there because I rolled a 19, and for me, that means 30.
Hell yeah, brother. We're going to keep that for next time. We're going to keep that for next time, for sure.